to Fairmont State, President Davis, Greg, athletic department, and all the people who worked extremely hard preparing and showcasing this outstanding Hall of Fame event. I'm honored to be inducted to this 2024 class. Especially exciting for me to be in this class with my man, Brad Butcher. Somebody didn't see him play, but he was the Steph Curry of the 70s. One of the greatest high school shooters I'd ever witnessed, and made himself into a complete college player through his hard work, winning attitude, and of course he helped win 4 straight conference titles in the best league in America. Congratulations. Dwayne Cochran, you definitely raised the standard covering Fairmont State sports with your exceptional performance promoting hundreds of Fairmont State athletes, teams, and coaches. So talented with that pen in your hand, it will be difficult for anyone even to equal the high standards you accomplished. But most of all, I can call you a friend. High expectations began for me with my grandmothers, who were both college graduates. One grandmother motivated me with toughness, firmness, and grit. The other motivated me with praise, compliments, and pats on the back to build confidence and determination. They set high goals for the academic year, and I responded. My grandfather, Joe H. Anderson, left Fairmont at the age of 12 and worked his way across the U.S. He landed in Oklahoma for several years and fell in love with Oklahoma football. I was always intrigued by the walls in his barn where he had written the scores of Oklahoma, Nebraska each year with perfect penmanship. I couldn't wait to hop in his truck and go to the country store on Sundays to pick up the 3-inch thick Pittsburgh Press and the Fairmont Times. My love of sports information started with seeing those scores on the wall, and those newspapers where I checked out thousands of scores and thousands of stats and thousands of box scores. My grandfather, Charlie Lambiotte, passed away when I was 5. His family came to the U.S. to provide a better life. Through the opportunity and hard work, they accomplished the task. Growing up on a farm, I discovered at an early age, just because you had a hard day at school or a hard day at your job, there was more work to do when you got home. Second shift started. My mom, Christine, and her sister, Rayanna, were inseparable. Together, they demonstrated the importance of building relationships with people. When my mom attended West Fairmont, she met this very special, lifelong friend, Nancy Tucker. My mom connected with his East Side guy, Charlie, and Nancy encountered this Granttown guy, JoJo Redmond. They had several close friends and family members. To name a few, the Huffmans, the Bakers, the Handos, the Conaways. Their friends became my family, and I have one precious hand here tonight, Betty Baker. In 1963, that JoJo guy was named the head basketball coach at Fairmont State. He didn't have an assistant coach. So after a few games sitting on the bench, Coach handed me a clipboard, and I was responsible for keeping track of 2 stats. One was turnovers, and that opponent scored on our turnover, and the other was personal fouls. So at 8 years old, I became the youngest student assistant in America. Buddy wasn't too far behind me, but I'm just a couple years older than Buddy. Coach's beliefs were always the value of basketball, and the basketball is a piece of gold, and I'm sure people have heard that today. And a foul was a mistake. Those lessons he taught were ingrained in my head forever. Coach Mike Arcture became assistant coach in '68. I watched his relentless and persistent recruiting tactics. He always went after the best possible player and used every resource and contact to bring that prospect on campus. In junior high, my basketball coach was Ron Edward. He seemed to be such an intimidating guy. His height, his size, and that deep, low voice. He took a special interest in me, and we developed a lifelong friendship. I have never forgotten that Coach Everhart despised the phrase, practice makes perfect. His belief was, perfect practice makes perfect. I learned that from your dad, brother. On the basketball camps, there were several of us that really never attended camp. We worked. Bud, me, Ronnie, David, several others. We learned to teach, administer, organize, demonstrate, and officiate those camps. It jump-started our education careers. In May of '77, I earned a second-to-none education degree from Fairmont State and was part of some of the greatest basketball times in the history of the school. In August of 1977, I received another degree from Valley Distributing, where I had worked and met thousands of community members from all walks of life. My instructors were the Arcture family and Anthony Nero. I will forever be grateful for those experiences. My next move was to St. Mary's High School to teach and coach, where I met my mentor, my first and best athletic director, Keith Winter, and his wife Rita. His wife Rita welcomed this 22-year-old kid in their house, and Coach taught me about high school athletics, encouraged me, and allowed me to be me. Coach was big on building connections and introduced me to the late, great Coach Kenny Wright, who was the president of the West Virginia Coaches Association. Through Keith and Kenny's contacts, it allowed me to meet almost every coach and administrator in the state of West Virginia, which triggered my recruiting efforts for the future. I'm so proud of my first team from St. Mary's High School and so appreciative and surprised that many of them here tonight. And right there they are, the whole crew. There's one member of that team that became an athletic director of Baylor. And I'll never get over this. He hired Kim Mulkey and Scott Drew over me. But it worked out pretty daggone good. So Keith, you're still number one AD. The summer of 1980, Fairmont State had an opening for women's basketball coach with no assistant and sports information director. The women's basketball team had won 4 games in the last 5 years, and a couple of those years there were 0 wins. As for sports information, the football media guide had not been completed, the record keeping wasn't the best, and I jumped at the chance to sign a 1-year deal for $12.4. Now don't get excited, that's $12,400. After I signed that contract, I was also encouraged to complete my master's degree as soon as possible. With the help of Rachel Merrifield, we designed, edited, and produced that media guide on time, and then assembled the top stat crews in the country. From 80 to 85, our press guys were some of the best in the IA, and I was fortunate to receive SID awards for excellence. Women's basketball was a work in progress. We knew we wanted to reach the heights of the University of Charleston. UC had never been beaten by a West Virginia conference school, and they played a non-conference schedule for Division I schools. I was so fortunate to have players from the start who believed in themselves as individuals, believed in the team concept, and believed and played for their coach. Those three elements are the fine line to winning championships. In 3 years, we were so close. We played UC, the top team in the country, to a score of 98-96 in overtime, in front of one of the largest crowds ever for a women's game in Fairmont. In the 4th year, we reached our goal and beat UC when it counted in the final game of the Western Union Conference Championship. We did it with 8 players. 8. For the year, we averaged 12 fouls per game, and that's a record, and 14 turnovers per game. We were the first women's basketball team in the state also to have play-by-play radio broadcasts by the late, great Falcons, voice of the Falcons, Frank Lee. In 1985, I became the head men's coach and wanted to begin building something special. We broadened our recruiting base, and in our 3rd year, we started reaching our goals and produced a 20-win season. It was so exciting to watch my players grow into quality young men, receive so many individual awards that are still in the Fairmont State record books. From those teams that were academic All-Americans and All-Conference players. I'm grateful for the special bond I have with the players from all my teams and proud of the men and women they have become. The part of the game that we take for granted is the officiating. These individuals are away from their families night in and night out so the game can be played. They put up with a lot of so-called experts and coaches like me telling them what to do and how to do their jobs. I always tried to help them from my angle on the bench when I coached, and I still try to help them to this day. The relationships I have developed over the years with these refs are unmatched. There are several here tonight that actually work my games. And there's one to officiate our championship game. To them, I say thank you for what you've done. As a member of the Hall of Fame, I was always thinking about the process along the way. The process is possible because of family, friends, coaches, mentors, players, officials, and supporters. The Hall of Fame award is not an individual award for me, but it's an award for all the people along the way. I'm so happy that many of you are with me tonight to share this award. Your support means everything.